Hello again, students, and welcome back to our session. In this session, we're going to continue talking about the future, and we're going to start our session by taking a look at some sentences, by looking at some sentences. So take your time, read the sentences, and when you finish, try to think which sentence or sentences refer to the future. Take your time, read the sentences. Which sentence or sentences refer to the future? I will travel to the States next year. I'm traveling to the States next year. And I'm going to travel to the States next year. The three sentences are very similar, right? Apparently they are talking about the same event, but we can see that they are using different structures. So we can say that I will travel to the States next year. It's definitely future, right? You remember that in previous lessons we studied about will, and we know that will is like the basic or the most common way of expressing future in English. So I will travel, it's definitely future, right? And probably you also remember that going to expresses future. So I am going to travel to the States next year is also a future sentence, right? But if we take a look at the last sentence, we can also identify and understand that it is also referring to the future. So the three sentences are talking in some way about a future event. So that is interesting because we know that there are many structures that we can use for expressing the future in English, not only will. And each structure that we use has a specific meaning, or we need to use the correct structure depending on what we're trying to say about the future. So apart from will, we can also use going to. So you remember when we use going to, right? So going to is for plans and intentions. So I am going to study hard for the next quiz. How is going to different from will? Well, will, it's basically the future that we use when we are making a prediction, something that we are not sure, right? And remember that most of the time we combine will with I think. So I think I will travel next year. So I'm not sure. I'm just making a prediction. I think, right? We can also use will for general future, like the first time you think about the future, an activity for the first time, you use will. Also for promises and also for suggestions, right? Now, for going to, we use it for plans. And when we talk about a plan, we know that we have thought about the event before. So a plan, it's a process, right? So you don't plan things immediately or just by thinking. That's when you use will. A plan is something that you considered, something that you thought of, and that you are starting to make details or create details about the event. So that's when we use going to, when we have a plan or we have an intention that we are building and creating in our minds, right? So I'm going to study hard for the next quiz. I'm going to buy a car. I want to do it, and I'm checking some different models. I'm checking my money. I mean, if I can do it. So I'm planning, right? I'm considering. So that is for going to. Now, when you have a plan and that plan involves other people and it has more details, or like including the time, the place, and many other details about the event in the future, you can decide to use the present continuous. We can be more specific about the future with the present continuous. We use the present continuous for arrangements or plans that we made with other people and that we have more details. Like, for example, I'm watching a movie tonight with my boyfriend at 9. So I have this plan and my boyfriend knows about this plan, and we have discussed what movie we're going to watch, what time, probably what we're going to have for dinner, etc. So it's possible to use the present continuous for plans that are very detailed in the future and that involve more people. We call that an arrangement. So there are many structures that we can use. And we can use will for an intention, general future. We can also use will for predictions, for promises, etc. Right? And in general, it's the first time we think about the future. I will travel to Mexico City next year, right? Now, if it is a plan, right, I'm developing and considering this, checking some information about the future event, I'm going to use going to, right? So I'm going to travel to Mexico City next year with my family for the holidays. Now, if this plan, it's done, it has more details and many other people are involved, I can decide to use the present continuous to be more specific. So I'm going to travel to Mexico City next year, or I'm traveling, like this is for sure, I'm traveling to Mexico City next February with my family, and we're traveling by plane, I have the tickets, etc., etc., right? You have more information and details for the trip. Now, we have those three common structures that we can use. Let's concentrate on going to, because we know when we use will and how to create sentences with will. What about going to? So for going to, we are going to have a subject like in any sentence. Then we are going to use verb to be, and we need to conjugate verb to be depending on the person, right? So I am, my family is, Phoebe is, they are. And then we're going to use going to, right? Going to, and then a verb or an action in the future. So my family is going to travel to Peru. Yeah. So that's how we create a sentence. For the negative, we know that for the negative we're going to put not next to verb to be. So my family is not or isn't. Phoebe is not or isn't. And they are not or they aren't. And for the question, we're going to change the position of verb to be with the subject, and we're going to say, is my family going to travel to Peru? Is Phoebe going to travel to Peru? Are they going to travel to Peru? So we just change the position of verb to be at the beginning, and then we put the subject and then the principal verb, going to, sorry, and then the principal verb. That's how we create different sentences with going to. Now, yeah, we can use will, we can use going to, or we can use present continuous. But there are other expressions in English that can also indicate future. Let's check some of them. Would like to. I would like to travel to Miami on Easter holidays. I like to go to the cinema tonight. I wouldn't like to stay at home. Would you like to come with me? Yes, I like to. No, I wouldn't like to. So would like expresses a wish in the future, right? We know that the first sentence, I would like to travel to Miami on Easter holidays, refers to the future because it's something that you want to do. You have the wish to do it, and it's something that can occur in the future. Now, we know that those sentences do not include will or going to or the present continuous. So apparently they are not future, but the meaning is about the future. So it's possible that for intentions or future wishes, we can use would like to. And we can also use want to talk about intentions, right? So she wants to go to the beach this weekend. I want to eat pizza tonight. I don't want to eat pasta, right? And do you want pizza? Yes, I do, or no, I don't. So, would like to and want to are other expressions that we can also use to express future. Now, which one should I use? Going to, will, would like to, want to, present continuous? How am I going to decide? Well, you know the answer. It depends on what you want to express. Are you talking about a prediction? Will. Are you talking about an arrangement, a plan in the future with details? Present continuous, right? Are you talking about a plan? Well, going to. Is it an intention? It's just a wish? If it is just an intention and it's just a wish, you can use want to or would like to. But remember, we can express the future in many different ways in English. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope this is useful and helpful for your understanding